You know, Jeffrey Katzenberg looked at the Prince of Egypt and definitely said, you know, I was almost gonna let you be in my most erotic fantasies, but then I talked to this Disney guy about A Bug's Life, and now it's that movie instead.
Yes.
He sounds a lot like Woody Allen, too. I mean, he's annoying enough, definitely, but...
You know, I always wanted to be in a film about the Prince of Egypt, but instead, we're ants.
That's the best Jeffrey Katzenberg impression I've ever heard.
Perfect.
Hello, everybody, and
Hello.
Okay, Random, you start.
Oh, shit. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to episode 2 of Living the DreamWorks, where we talk about all the DreamWorks films from beginning to present. And we're going to be talking about... We're going to be doing episode 2, where we talk about an interesting one, The Prince of Egypt.
Yes, the animated musical, The Prince of Egypt. I know. Random here is very excited about the musical part and wants to talk all about the musical part.
Yes, this was a trick to get us to just cover a few more musicals. All 2 of them.
Yes. Eventually, we'll get to Trolls, and then you're back on board.
Surprise announcement, I'm quitting the podcast.
No! Anyway,
right, I am the Wash.
I'm random bystander here.
And I'm Claire.
I'm still not used to that.
I'll get you in a surprise. I won't say that.
Okay.
So just to cover our bases, we apologize in advance for all our sacrilegious jokes.
Yep.
Because we're a couple of annoying. We're a bunch of annoying people.
I thought you were gonna call us the annoying atheists, and I was like, no.
Oh, can we change our podcast name just for one episode?
No.
No.
Hi, everybody. Claire, Random, and Wash here. The annoying atheists are covering The Prince of Egypt today.
Personally, I think this film is a bunch of baloney.
Yeah.
I mean,
God.
Why would Moses have a beard like that and survive in the desert?
Yeah, there's no way that... why would a camel eat hair? That doesn't make any sense.
Camels don't even have names.
That's not right. That's messed up. That's messed up. Jeffrey Katzenberg, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Just director of the Prince of Egypt, Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Out of every decision you have ever made, Jeffrey Katzenberg, this is the most questionable.
Yes. All right, now... Okay, so...
All right, bad news. The Annoying Atheists has been canceled by God. Thankfully, Work and Podcast is healthy and thriving, so we're back to our scheduled programming.
And
God had smite the program.
Yes. Oh my God. So, does anyone have any history with this film?
I absolutely do. I'm assuming we all do?
We all kind of do. Me being
I
the more
definitely
kind
do,
of part.
so I won't go first.
You two, all right? Yeah. Who wants to go first?
Well, how much history do you two have with it? Because I have a lot of history with this movie.
Not a lot of history. So if you want, I can go first and just get it over.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't remember seeing this film, except I do. And what I mean by that is, like, I didn't remember anything about this film before seeing it today, but there were 2 things that stuck with me that just never left my brain subconsciously. And one of them was the first just opening song, which we'll get to when we talk about it, and some visuals for a certain scene, which was also during one of the songs. It was like the scene. Do you think should we wait till we get to it to go into specifics?
I don't know what scene you're
you want to
talking
just
about.
say it real quick.
Basically, it was the moment in Playing with the Big Boys Now, which is weird song to think that it's in a movie about Moses out of context. But it's the scene where like the snakes are surrounding the god cobra and the god cobra eats them. That stuck with me, and I don't know why. That was just some like weird visual shit that my brain that just never left my brain. I can't tell you why.
I can't blame you though, because I have so many of that where it's just like there's something that like I remember nothing about except a very bizarrely specific thing.
Yes.
It just kind of happened.
I want to talk about this one scene from the Iron Giant really bad, but we're not talking about Iron Giant. So.
Maybe one day we'll do the
Yeah,
Iron Giant.
yeah.
That's a good one-off. But either way, not talking about it. Who wants to go next?
I figure it would be better for Wash to go next because I have more history, but they're eating their bagel, so I guess I'll go next. So Prince of Egypt. I have a lot of history with this movie. When I was a youngin, my parents, well, my mother at the time, my dad later in life, but when I was a kid, it was really more so just my mother, but very religious, and really enjoyed watching us this movie because, unlike a lot of religious things, she didn't have to try to get us involved with it. It was an animated movie, so me and my sister were like, yeah, Prince of Egypt, we'll watch that. There is a lot of messed stuff in this movie, and I have no idea why, like, it's an okay thing for, God, it must have been like 5 or 6 years old, maybe.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're just like, oh, we'll watch the Prince of Egypt. I didn't get so many of the heavier stuff, and this is my first time really sitting down and watching Prince of Egypt since I was a kid. So there are some things that I remembered, like, when Moses puts the staff into the lake and it turns into blood. I remember that. Yeah. I remember, I mean, there's so many moments that I remember, but if we're just talking about things that, like, I remember and I actually understood fully the context of what they were, like, I legitimately thought that God made the water into ketchup and everyone was freaking out because, like, I was that stupid kid.
No, I have a tomato allergy.
Well, I mean, if you turn the water into ketchup, it's like, can our God do that? I want ketchup. This is why you don't show Prince of Egypt to
can you make water into ketchup?
See, Moses? You can't have that ketchup. So it's not our guides. But this is why you don't show Prince of Egypt to 5 and 6 year olds. I think the only scene that I really remember and I understood the context of it, like ever since I was a kid, was the burning bush, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But there's just I watching this movie now, there were so many scenes that I remembered and thinking, oh my God, that's not how I remember this scene as a kid.
Yeah.
And it was a very enlightening rewatch. I won't really say if it's enlightening in a good or a bad way, but it was a very enlightening rewatch because so many things I remembered as a kid, and it's like, oh wow, that's definitely not ketchup.
No.
And
that's the note we're ending this on. Wash, now that you're not eating.
Why, thank you. So, my history with this is that I don't know how many times I saw this as a kid, because rewatching it feels like it's almost to the level of like rewatching like the SpongeBob movie.
Whoa!
Where I just know so many of the scenes and it's so many of the beats, and I think part of it is probably that we had a copy of this movie. But definitely, this was a regular. Since you're talking about like religion, my parents are also religious, and they took me to the equivalent of Sunday school. It wasn't Sunday school, but it was the equivalent of Sunday school.
Yeah.
CCD.
CCD.
Yep, CCD. That's right. This and VeggieTales were the mainstay.
Oh God, there's so much to talk about with VeggieTales.
You got to watch all the cool stuff. We just read a textbook.
Well, we also read our textbooks. Like, that was a big part of it. But like, to keep our interest, like, if you're gonna do something that is very, very, as true as can be to the story of Exodus, and still being like captivating to kids, like it's weird because it's like the first 15 minutes has all of those like, well, that went well, all that nonsense. But like for the rest of it, it's actually like really sober, and I guess it's just the fact that it's just really taking itself seriously that somehow like connects with kids, and still being something that like your parents can watch and get like emotional about because it's the story of Moses. It's the guy.
The guy. The Moses supposes his toes are roses.
Thank you very much for the lines, Random.
Hey, no problem.
I've seen this so many times. This is probably my first time watching it as an adult.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is still really fucking good.
Yeah.
Well, I have
Spoilers.
the
Spoilers.
one. Well, I haven't really been taking notes just so I can more engross myself. I didn't take this note, but I took this picture, and after the DreamWorks logo comes up, before the movie even starts, word for word, I have it right in front of me. The motion picture you are about to see is an adaptation of the Exodus story. While artistic and historical license has been taken, we believe that this film is true to the essence, values, and integrity of a story that is a cornerstone of faith for millions of people worldwide. The biblical story of Moses can be found in the book of Exodus. And that sets the tone for this movie fantastically.
Oh my god. Eat your heart out, Lightyear.
I completely forgot about this. I don't know if somehow I wasn't paying attention during this, but I completely forgot that it literally just says, if you want to know more, go to your local library and look up the Bible.
Go to your local library.
Yeah, it's like, damn, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So this is, when I found out, like, I'm doing a very, very quick read up because I did finish this movie like an hour ago. I was surprised to learn that like Jeffrey Katzenberg had actually pitched this for Disney, and Michael
Disney.
And Michael Eisner said no. So think about this before we get into like the movie itself. Think about this, like, yes, it was extremely stupid considering how this movie came out, but I can sort of see where Eisner was coming from, especially because like where Disney was at that point. Like,
yeah,
if somebody had told you Disney's the Ten Commandments or Disney's The Prince of Egypt, it'd be like, are you really gonna have Mickey Mouse as Moses? Like, they're gonna make all those jokes.
Let my people go.
What? Let my people go! That's Donald Duck is Ramesses.
Oh god. See love through heaven's eyes, Mickey.
Oh my god. See, like, we're all making these jokes. Like, this is exactly what would have happened if they tried to do if Disney tried to do this story. It, like, at the time, like, I think around this time, like, Disney was trying to do like a Civil War park for like a Disney's America, I think it was called. And they were trying so hard to say like, we're gonna be respectful to history, we're gonna be this, and that. Nobody bought it, and they could not open the park. Like, it just was not working out. So I could kind of see like it's probably better off to just put this to a company that's starting from scratch, that doesn't yet have an identity. And as a first, in quotation marks, this DreamWorks animated film, this is a hell of a start. This is a hell of a way to introduce yourself.
It's damn good. Like, the opening even, like, I know this came out before all this, but watching it now, you're like, this is the same studio that made Boss Baby.
I mean, where else do you go from Prince of Egypt?
Jesus Christ. And then you like, just the opening itself.
No, now I'm thinking about like the mother putting the Boss Baby in the basket down in the river.
We're not getting to that movie yet. That's not for a long while, thankfully.
I mean,
why would you do this to me?
I mean, nothing against this movie, because unlike Boss Baby, I actually think this is a very good movie. But I mean, even just saying like, this is the studio that got big off of Shrek.
Yeah.
I definitely think, I mean, it's not only is it very different from Ants, I'll also be the one to say it's much better.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
looking
so we can confirm this was the best DreamWorks animated film of
spoilers for the
1998.
rankings, by the way.
Yeah, spoilers.
But not just looking at these two movies, I mean, you can see what they do different, obviously. One's CG, one's 2D, one's hand-drawn. But you could also see, you could start to see the pieces of the puzzle, or the ingredients in the recipe, so to speak, of what makes DreamWorks kind of stand out. You're starting to see those pieces be put together.
Usually we would say, like, what's the plot synopsis? But, like, this is the Book of Exodus.
Yeah, this is Book of Exodus.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the myth of, like, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, like, so many religions start off with this story.
Yeah. And it's not.
So if you want to know what the plot synopsis is, go to your local library and look up the Bible.
Read a book.
Or go to Bible.com.
That too.
Yes. But like right off the bat, like it's a difference in like style. They really distinguish it already distinguishes itself from Disney by like actually trying to be a little more realistic. Not super realistic, not like ants where
not
it's just like hideous.
Yeah.
But it's like the shape of the eyes. Like they really just feel like people. They don't feel like Disney princesses.
Yeah.
I guess that's one thing that you can really start narrowing down. It's if Disney is more, I don't want to necessarily say fantasy, because even by the 90s, you know, they were already doing movies like Atlantis or Treasure. Well, I guess Atlantis was 2000s, but you know what I'm trying to say. But Disney is more of that like magical kind of thing, and DreamWorks maybe real isn't even, I guess, sharp. I mean, to really drive that Warner Brothers Disney comparison home, if Disney and Pixar are going for the magical feel, where it's, you know, this whimsy and wonder, DreamWorks is definitely trying to do something much more realistic, more sharp, more dialogue driven. You know, whereas
grounded.
I love Hunchback. That movie is very. There's a lot of emotions in both of these movies, but I don't know. I guess the dialogue here, like when you hear Moses and Ramses talk to each other, which we got to talk about those two later.
Yeah.
But when they're talking to each other, it definitely feels like, you know, you can feel the brotherly love, but it's definitely with much more of a, you know, the dialogue is a bit witty. When they're having fun together, you know, they're laughing around, joking around. When Ramses gets in trouble and, you know, Moses is like, oh, you're always getting into trouble, but you're the one always getting me into trouble. And they get into, you know, a little brotherly argument. Like, there's a lot of little things like that. Whereas with something like Hunchback, you know, the relationships between, like, Quasimodo and Esmeralda, Quasimodo and Frollo and Esmeralda, the other guy, I forget his name, they're not as... The dialogue's very good, it's not as sharp. It's much more, you know, selling the story of this world of the world. Yeah.
This world of Notre Dame and talking gargoyles.
The camels didn't talk in this movie, thank God.
Oh God, could you imagine if they had a whole song number about like
about eating hair? Hair! Oh, the wonders and wonders of hair. We love to bite and we love to chomp and we love to have such a fright. I don't know. Now it's a Halloween song.
Munch. Oh wait. Speaking of the song,
put my people.
Random, you're right.
Put my people back where they came from. Go help me.
They're rehearsing for a play. The high priests are like, Lord Ramesses, what's going on? Somebody walks by. They're practicing for a musical.
She's out of our hair.
So we put my people back
where they came.
They're out of our hair.
Oh God.
Okay.
Speaking of the music,
when I dare to
we're going to hell.
We're
all going to hell. Speaking of the music,
speaking of songs, though, like to still go with like the realism, like I noticed immediately, like Moses wasn't singing during this. Yeah, there are a lot of Moses songs. There are clearly a lot of songs that are like from the perspective of Moses, but he never sings on screen. And I think that's a very specific artistic decision. I think they kind of had the realization that like maybe not have the prophet Moses doing a song and dance.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, which, I mean, you beat me to it, but I think he only has 2 songs, and they're both the one is when he realizes he might not be born of Egypt, he might be a Hebrew, and he has the song about "This is all I've ever known, this is all I've ever wanted," and then the second song, when he's in direct confrontation with Ramesses, he's saying, "This is what I want, let my people go."
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and it's not him. He doesn't sing. They make it so like he conveys those emotions that you're hearing, but like you just see him like looking around, interacting with things, looking for and contemplating his feelings. I don't want to say it's doing something similar to what they did in Tarzan with like the singing over, doing the voice over singing over the action, but they're doing this a lot better than Tarzan ever did because one, it's the character who's still singing still, and 2, it works with the characters and the emotions in the scene better. It's not like a pop song you would hear later.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of the way that DreamWorks handles pop songs more so than any other. Well, when they do it right, I should specify.
Yeah,
which I mean is more than you could say for literally every other studio, to be frank.
Yeah,
but I will say that the songs you can sing songs in an animated movie and have it be adult. Like, if you're looking at Prince of Egypt and you're thinking, this is an animated musical, that means it can't be adult. Like, no. The songs here, for the most part, are very respectful of not only the subject material, but honestly, even like the age demographic for this movie, because I feel like this is, I mean, I'm sure the movie was just, I think the movie's just PG. So, kids went to see it and it's kid friendly. But this is, I feel like this is an older teen, young adult movie. I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that sentiment shared with a lot of people too.
Which is funny because I've seen it advertised as a kid's film.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a 2D animated movie. How do you think you're gonna advertise it? Unfortunately, that's just how it is. Now, I do have to be the one to say this. So personally, I love the opening number. I love the duet with Moses and Ramesses. And there's one other number that I really like, but musicals like this are just a harder sell to me. I'm just not crazy about it. I do think it kind of has that problem sometimes where it's like, do they need to be singing this? Can't they just, like, say it? But, for the most part, it's this movie, at least, I can see that as, all right, that's just a me thing.
Yeah.
And then they started singing You're Playing with the Big Boys Now.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I guess.
Random,
okay.
you have anything
No, that's fair. We are kind of jumping around. Do we want to talk about Moses now?
I want to still talk about, like, the opening. Like,
that's fair,
that
fair,
opening.
fair. Opening. I love the opening number.
Oh my god! For one, it sets up everything so perfectly. The tone of the movie, the conflict of the story. It shows that like how bad the Hebrews are treated here, and it sets up the story and the plot in motion. And it doesn't pull any punches.
Nope.
No.
I mean, the
movie in general doesn't pull punches.
Well, yeah, but
like,
it's even more surprising that the opening, within the first, 30 seconds, shows an old man being whipped. Like,
shows an old man being
that's
whipped.
the president. Like, this movie, this is the story of Moses.
Yeah.
We're not gonna have it be like, oh, he wasn't whipped. He was just gently pushed along because, they weren't bad people. It was just this one bad apple. Like, it's not pulling any punches.
Yeah.
This is explicitly about slavery.
Yeah.
And about freeing the slaves.
Yep.
And murdering all the first
murdering all the slaveholders.
God, oh my, we're like, I feel like we were pixels away from seeing that, right?
Yeah, yo.
Like, if they hadn't, I forgot that they actually pushed to jump way to the end. I'm surprised they actually pushed Ramesses out of the sea instead of just drowning him in there.
That's what I remember. I remember him drowning, big kill.
I don't remember him drowning, but we'll get to that.
That's weird, actually, with how I remember the movie otherwise, like we were talking about before. I'm surprised I remember him being
remember
killed.
the weirdest things about this film when I first saw it. I can't explain it. Okay, if we do want to get into
story. It's more like characters because like the story is Exodus.
Yeah, and the story's
like,
actually like it's told really, really well. I really admire how adult they treat this movie, and it's just refreshing. I guess maybe it's after watching Disney and Pixar for all these years that I just was just kind of shocked and almost like bewildered to like see this story that I've known since like a kid in religion, just be treated with like respect, because let's be honest, a lot of stuff about the Bible, media about the Bible doesn't go well. It's not good.
Yeah, there's
It's
Prince
not
of
good at all.
Egypt, there's VeggieTales, there's...
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it for good things. There's also like really
there's a lot of
bad-
ironic value you can find out of it, which may or may not determine whether or not you're going to heaven or not.
Yeah.
I
There's
remember,
all
I remember this has nothing to do with anything, but I remember there was like a Twitch streamer I used to watch where every Sunday we'd all have like a stream where they stream like Christian like shows. So they had like one with like I think it was like a caterpillar that was voiced by I can't remember the actor's name, but voiced by Barnacle Boy. So it's just Barnacle Boy like talking to God, like he's just praying to God.
Hey
to
God,
help
can
him
I have
through
a
this
Krabby
story.
Patty adult sized?
Oh my god.
And then like at the end we're just like, this sucks, let's go back to VeggieTales and
Yeah.
just go watching VeggieTales again. It was great. I missed that streamer so much. They haven't done anything.
There's
in,
a
like,
lot
long
of
time.
terrible religious themed cartoons.
It's
I forget his name.
What it was is that like it was lack of respect.
Yeah.
like-
Yeah, it was... You know how... I don't mean to say this against the religion itself. I mean to say this against the shammy religious people. But do you know how easy religion is to take advantage of?
Yo.
Like how easy it is to
Oh,
throw
yeah.
something out, say, God's in this, and for religious people to be like, that's it. That's
Yep.
all it takes.
That's it.
That's all it takes.
You better like this now.
Yep.
Yep.
If
Oh
you don't,
God.
you're going to a bad
You're going to
way.
hell.
The AC double hockey stick.
I was gonna
Where
say
we're
that,
going.
but I didn't. I'm so upset.
We were all doing the Simpsons quote. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now we could talk about Moses because he's the story. I just wanted to say the opening is really good.
Oh,
And also the music is done by Steven Schwartz, who did Wicked, which I never saw, but I heard was good. And the music is done by Hans Zimmer, of all
yeah,
people.
Yeah.
yes, that is true.
Hans Zimmer was
Oh my
supposed
God.
to do the Hans Zimmer was supposed to do the score for Ants, but he was busy with the Prince of Egypt.
Good.
I mean, I like the music of Ants, but again, it like doesn't.
I mean,
It doesn't compare.
how could we ever? But then we wouldn't have. I could see clearly now the rain is gone.
This is true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
But seriously, Hans Zimmer is his music is so fucking good in this. Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, oh God, they really sell this well. Like this just generally feels like an epic.
Yeah.
And I know it is like based on an epic. It's based on like the film The Ten Commandments, which I was kind of hoping to see, but it was like 4 hours long. Oh.
Exactly. No.
Yeah, I couldn't really get around to that. So I can't do any like comparison between Moses and the Ramesses.
Well, here's
Sadly.
one. I'm opening a can of worms before we even get to Moses. But last thing, and then I promise we'll get to Moses. But if we're gonna talk about the people who worked on this movie, one of the directors is a name we should know, Brenda Chapman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
You
you're
know
listening
how
to
much
us
I
and you're
hate- I don't
wondering,
like-
who's Brenda Chapman? You must be new around here. If you're listening
Yep.
to us and you're like, is that Brenda Chapman? Oh yeah, that Brenda
Oh
Chapman.
yeah. I'm so mad. I'm a little bit mad at Pixar now.
Yeah,
Because-
right with how good Prince of Egypt is and how good
Yeah.
we know Brave could have been.
Yeah. Like,
Well, we can't. It's also like there were 2 other. I was surprised. I did not know there were 3 directors in this. In fact,
yeah.
I guess because they were having to like struggle like quite a lot because they were really sketching this out and they were doing like a whole bunch of preparation. Like we have one of them who's like, I look him up and like most of his directing stuff is like Do you remember An American Tale? 5 goes west.
Yes.
That time when 5 becomes a cowboy.
The last thing Jimmy Stewart
we're back
was ever
a
in, I think.
dinosaur story. That's Simon Wells' credit, and then the other one did B movie.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get the B movie. We'll see how it compares against the Prince of Egypt. But this is also like that was Steve Hickner's debut, and this is Brenda Chapman's debut as a director.
Oh God.
So, yeah, that's it. Then we finally get to Brave, and
all right, okay. We're 30 minutes in. We haven't talked about Moses.
Yes. So, right off the bat, like, I had forgotten. I guess because of how young I was when I was watching this movie, like I had forgotten just how like pained he was. Like this is. I don't think this is actually accurate to the original story. I don't think like the I'm not sure that the Book of Exodus like went into like the massive guilt he felt when he's going through it, but this really sells it.
Yeah.
Like what like a person would feel having to be the what's the word for it? Like I think there was I think they said it in the movie, but like who he is to God, he's like a representative of God.
I want to say a martyr almost, but not. Maybe that's the wrong word.
I think that's the wrong word.
I really I don't think
Messenger,
we're gonna remember the
messenger.
word, but I really like this. I mean, again, we'll talk about the burning bush, but I love when God is telling Moses everything that he has to do for his people, and Moses, instead of in this movie at least, instead of taking it on with pride or saying me, no, the specific angle that he takes is, I can't show myself to these people. They will never listen to me after the way that I treat. Who am I to tell these people that I will be their savior?
And
I love
God
that
just
approach.
says, shut.
Yeah, then God said, shut up.
But God immediately gets shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
No,
don't mess with
what I
God.
say.
Don't mess with God, okay? Like, I can respect that,
Like,
but I love the approach
I
of
remember
Moses.
God. I remember God being like the soft, quiet, like gentler stuff. I don't remember him just like screaming at him, "Who made man's mouth?
Yeah.
Was it not I?"
I do
Like,
like
wow.
how it's the same actor who plays Moses
Yeah.
as God.
Yeah. That's such
That's
a neat
a cool
touch.
little touch.
Yes, Val Kilmer. Sadly can't do much voice acting anymore. But god damn, it really did a fantastic job.
Yeah. And even before like he even like leaves Egypt, you see him and Ramsey as just two brothers just goofing off, getting in trouble. And like they're believably brothers.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I love so much about this approach. I mean, I'm not saying Prince of Egypt is the only one to ever tackle this, but I haven't seen 10 Commandments, but I've seen bits and pieces of it, and I see how people talk about 10 Commandments, and what I love about the way that this movie approaches Moses and Ramesses both, but especially Moses, just because he becomes so soft in this movie, is that you really just get to see, like, how much this hurts them. How it hurts Moses. I mean, we'll get to the Ramesses side of it later on, but how much this hurts Moses to have to do this to the man he still considers his brother. He never really stopped. Even when they're they're neck deep into Moses saying, "Let my people go," Ramesses saying, "I will never let your people go." When Ramesses is sitting on top of one of the statues, and Moses says, "I knew I'd find you here. You were always here when we were younger," and they're reminiscing on their moments together. And like this late into the movie, they're still acting like the brothers they were acting like they were 15 minutes into the movie. It's just, why can't things still be the way they were?
Because it's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late, and God has different plans.
Yeah.
God wanted you to let the people go, and you refused. You will suffer his wrath.
Yep.
Just plain and simple. Like, this is like the last half of it is. I mean, that's some wrath.
Yeah.
It's a major wrath.
Oh my god.
But while it's good for the, like, it ends well for everybody, this is still a tragedy for Moses. Like, this it's really upsetting for him. Like, he's happy that all his people are set free, but everything he grew up with, everything he cared about, everything he knew, his brother it's all gone and ruined. And he didn't want that. He didn't want to do this. He wishes he wasn't the one doing this.
Yeah.
He wishes he wasn't, but he does realize at the end that like this is what he was put here to do.
Yes.
This is what he must do, and he saw like what it ended up doing. I don't believe the Ten Commandments film like just like hard stop right at the actual Ten Commandments.
I don't know.
So I was surprised. I had forgotten that it's just like it. I guess because it's just. I mean, it's the Ten Commandments. You know it's gonna happen. So you know how this is the start of everything, from the Torah to the Bible to the Quran.
I like that it stops there though, because that's where Moses' story stopped. At least Moses' story relating to Egypt, which I mean that's
which
what
is called
the Prince of Egypt. This is where this story stops, and I kind of like that. At least for this movie, they didn't really drag it out any more than it had to be.
Yeah, it's not 4 hours.
Not 4 hours.
No, not 4 hours.
I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to say about Moses.
Wow, there's so much though. I love.
He's a likable character, to say the least.
It's
weird to say that.
We will get to the burning bush, but directly after the burning bush, the scene with no dialogue, where he runs back to his wife and he's so excitedly telling her about what just happened to him.
Yeah,
so much. You can just
so good.
You can't hear his excitement, but you can just feel his excitement. You know, I love that so much.
Not only that, but you can feel like I forget her name, but his wife
Zipporah.
It's Zipporah, right?
What?
Zipporah.
You can feel her her shock and bewilderment, but also she 100% believes him, just from her body language. You could feel that.
But also, like, she kind of like sinks down a bit because she's like, "This is amazing, but like, how can we possibly do this?" Like, she still has her doubts.
Yeah.
And it's damn.
I do kind of like how the doubts in the film are not like, it's never a question of faith. Like, it's they believe in God 110%. It's more like, okay, this is gonna be difficult. This is hard to do. How are we gonna do this?
Yeah.
I will do it for God. I believe in him 110%, but we're talking about releasing all the slaves of Egypt here.
Yeah, we're talking about freeing like hundreds of slaves and bringing them to the promised land.
Yeah.
Like, good luck.
Good luck.
Like I mentioned earlier, I think some of the quippiness at the start just kind of threw me off when he's just again that line is just like, well, that went well. Like, that felt a little too.
That was a little too modern DreamWorks-ish.
There's that, and there's also the one song that we'll get to.
Yeah, there's a couple moments here and there that are like,
Yeah.
There's also like a butt joke. Do you even remember that?
There is?
Where it's like, yeah, there was like when they were on the chariots, they were like racing each other, and actually, hold on, because I took a picture of it too.
Oh God.
It's just like, come on, Moses, admit it. You've always looked up to me. And he says, yes, but it's not much of a view. And it cuts to like his crack, like underneath his like skirt. It's essentially, and you see his butt.
I mean, it's the most tasteful butt joke I've probably heard. But
it's
weird.
It's like,
it's in a Bible movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
I'm not going to say that there weren't butt jokes in Egypt time.
Yeah.
How unrealistic. I cannot believe DreamWorks.
I cannot believe there are butt jokes in my movie about the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, but, I mean, so the good news is that scene lasts all of like 5 minutes, right? It's 5 minutes in a 90-ish minute movie. But at the same time, these are 5 minutes of my life that I want back.
You see, like the hijinks of like, oh, they destroyed the temple and that went well. I thought it would bother me more, but it doesn't because of the scene afterwards where we see the Pharaoh, voiced by Patrick Stewart, by the way. And he basically he yells at Ramses and basically gives him the insecurity that carries him throughout and haunts him throughout the entire film.
I should say real quick that the name is Ramesses.
Yeah.
Ramesses. Sorry.
Because Ramses is a very different pharaoh, and is not. Do not confuse him with the guy from Courage the Cowardly Dog. Like I know
Ramses.
Actually, I was thinking more Gordon Ramsay.
The man in Gauze.
The
man in Gauze. The man in Gauze.
The man in Gauze. He's no Santa Claus.
Ramesses.
No. Ramesses.
Most of the jokes in this movie really didn't work for me. However, I really like when Courage was on screen. I thought it was really fun.
Oh God, I will say
things I do for God.
You see Courage with a staff parting the Red Sea.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
I better help out the Hebrews, or my name is Moses, and it's not.
He goes to warn he sees Ramesses coming in with an army heading over towards him. You just heard Kurt go to the Hebrews.
Unlike the movie, this podcast was not reviewed by biblical scholars.
Courage is biblically accurate. Come on.
Back to my point.
Sorry.
The Pharaoh stays. I forget the exact line. It's like 1 weak link could destroy an entire dynasty.
I will not be the weak link.
And that comes up later. Like he becomes his father.
Yeah, he literally does. That whole insecurity haunts him throughout his entire film, and it's the main reason why he will not let the Hebrews go. Because he does not want to be the weak link. He does not want to. He becomes his father and doesn't want to leave shame upon. I know we were talking about Moses before, but God damn it, Ramesses is one of the most sympathetic villains I've ever seen in animation ever.
Which is so fascinating because I mean I agree with you, but I also can't think of a villain who does things that many villains at least that are like worse in terms of what they do.
Yeah, he does some awful things.
I guess we've talked about Moses for long enough. I know we might have more to say, but we've talked about him for long enough. So I guess we can move on to Ramesses now.
Yeah.
Like we're talking like continuing on the legacy of like killing babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like oh, we're slaves.
I was just gonna say that. I know that was his that was their dad, the first pharaoh.
It was the dad, and then like right towards the end, like he was saying the exact same thing. Like, oh, they were slaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can you do?
It's literally just like carrying the ideas of his father, so that makes him kind of responsible as well.
Tradition. I'm sorry, but it's just tradition.
One of the things that I really like about the movie is that, I mean, Moses obviously notwithstanding, the Egyptians never held themselves accountable for any of their actions. Even like the nice mother, when Moses nice quote unquote mother, when Moses finds out that he was adopted, he was a Hebrew, he's not Egyptian, and you know he's having this crisis, this internal crisis, and the mother comes over to comfort him and just asks her, "Why did you choose me?" She says, "We didn't choose you, the gods chose you." Because they're not, I guess, on the one hand, they just think so little of the Hebrews that, you know, it's, you know, their entire lives are just, you know, that replaceable. We can just let the gods decide whatever. But at the same time, it's like they just don't, even the nice ones, quote unquote, they're not holding themselves accountable for anything that they do.
Yeah, not even just for the Hebrews either. When, I'll say it, when Moses kills a guy.
Oh my God! Yes,
he kills a guy. He feels horrible. He can't look at Ramses, and Ramses like, "What? I'll make it so it never happened. I'm Pharaoh. I'll say if it didn't happen, it didn't happen."
Yeah,
I am the morning and evening star. Is what he said.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great line.
Oh, fantastic
line.
Yeah.
But like, how's that for not holding things to people accountable? Yeah. And Moses like, "No, I gotta go.
Yeah,
I can't do."
And I know,
this,
we're done talking about Moses, but really quick, when he's throwing all of his Egyptian accessories off because he's just so frustrated with himself and everything, he's about to throw the ring that Ramesses gave to him. He's about to take that off,
Yeah.
but that's the one thing that he can't bring himself to take apart.
Yep. Until later.
But then,
we'll
like,
get to that.
it comes up, it comes back.
Yeah.
When he meets the brother.
And that's
that
what
scene.
the final straw is for Ramesses. Because that's to him is, oh, this man who I've been missing for years, who I've seen as my brother for so long, he's betraying me now.
Yep.
It's
so sad.
So sad.
Because
that shot.
That's what I love.
That shot.
Of Ramesses' face.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Of like him holding the ring, and he's just like confused and angry and pitiful and enraged.
Yeah,
Like,
you see that, like, when his eyes open and the rage comes out.
Yeah. That's chilling.
Yeah. And it's sad because...
Can you tell that this movie was, like, storyboarded from frame 1 to frame 10,000 or whatever? I don't know.
And again, it's sad because when Moses does come back, he's given a warm welcome. He hugs him.
Yeah, Moses gives him a big hug.
But he also just...
Everybody around the two of them is so uncomfortable. They're like, what's going on here? But Ramesses and eventually even Moses, who, doesn't really know how to react at first, but before long, he's just right back where he left off, laughing, hugging him, even says, I've missed you, Ramesses. Like...
And even the... like, oh, my brother, and it's just like, Ramesses... And, like, he's in so much pain to have to say, like, this can't work. You have to let these people go.
Yep. And
I will not be the weak link.
Yeah, and get those the Martin Short and Steve Martin, the comical duo.
I don't want to talk about them. Let's keep talking about Ramses.
Ramesses,
fuck. We're jumping around. Do we want to save like the end?
Oh yeah.
Later,
I mean,
okay.
I love the movie a lot, but if we're talking characters, what is there to say for most of them outside of Moses and Ramesses?
Yeah. No, I'm just like saying, I just want to talk about like what happens to Ramesses at the end, but
well, I mean, we can either still talk about Ramesses, or we could go on to talk about either the songs, the side characters, or the animation, whichever one. We've got about a half hour left, so.
God damn. All right, we'll make it. Is there anything else to say about Ramesses? Because those were the like main Oh yes. No, it's gonna tie in with I think it's gonna tie. Everything else ties in with the songs, I think. But actually, no.
Well, what I would say is it's like the it's not to do with like the end, but like right before he like agrees to let the people go, when it's like the plague that kills the firstborn.
Oh
like,
shit!
And just like like just sobbing over the body of the son, and just like Moses is trying to comfort and just like, leave me, just go. And then at the very end, he was just like, never mind. Well, maybe I have to reread the Bible.
Yeah, it's more like it he does this in the epic.
Yeah.
So that's why. But also you can kind of see the thought process in his eyes, because like you see the grief of him like literally cradling his dead son. And like
that
like,
shot right that scene right before the plague, where they're like Moses comes by and it's like the Moses and Ramesses are fighting, and then the son just seems like angry at Moses, angry at his uncle.
Yep.
I wanna that scene specifically, because that's when they're actually kind of warming up to each other again. And Ramesses says, why can't things be the way they were? He looks so sad. And Moses is just looking at him so sympathetically, and there's finally a connection being made. And then Ramesses' son, which is his connection to Egypt, says, "What are you doing with him?" And that's what kind of reminds Ramesses, "I'm a pharaoh. I'm not his brother anymore. I'm the pharaoh." But like, if it just leaves you to think, like, if they were just allowed to have that moment together, would this have a peaceful resolution? Because when he's not the pharaoh, when he's Moses is his brother, I think he was about to let them go. Obviously, I'm not talking about the actual Bible. I'm talking about the Prince of Egypt.
Yeah.
But
We're
I
talking about
think,
Prince of Egypt
this
here.
could be, just interpretation, but I think he was willing to let them go. But then he was reminded by his son, "You're the Pharaoh," or inadvertently reminded by his son, "You're the Pharaoh," and that made him say, "I will not let your people go. I will not be the weak link," which ironically is
and
what led him to be the weak link.
And God
And
takes
then,
care of that real quick.
Yeah.
God took care of
Real
that real quick. But to still stay within that within that scene, like that shot, because what was like Moses is like pleading, like you don't want what's gonna come next, like you don't want what's coming next, like this is gonna be bad, and he doesn't listen, and then there's suddenly just that like Moses' realization is just like, oh God, I have to go through with this, and you have that shot of the sun right in the center of the big of the giant wall painting showing the killing of Israelite babies. Oh my God!
Jesus Christ!
Like it is not pulling any it is not pulling any punches with that metaphor. Like
Yeah.
like that the sacrifice continues.
And when Ramesses tells Moses, like, take your people and go, he tries to comfort him. He says, leave me. Moses, he can make it out of the room, but he can't even make it out of the temple without just falling over and sobbing.
Yeah.
Because he just pretty much got the best news that he could ask for. Your people are free. That's what you've been fighting for this whole time. These are not tears of joy.
No. He
is so regretful of everything that he's, especially the cause of this being that he indirectly killed Ramesses' firstborn son. Like, God, this is such a good movie.
And like the song that they have, like he specifically mentions just like the sorrow he has for having to have like innocent people involved, innocent Egyptians.
Yep.
And I think that was a big part of that. Like, it's just they're like Moses' the theme of Moses, and at least in Prince of Egypt, is guilt. Like he just had massive he had massive guilt as the Prince of Egypt, and he had massive guilt as the, for lack of a better term, vessel of God.
Yep.
The prophet of God.
Jesus.
Ha!
No, wrong. What?
You said Jesus.
I know, wrong
It's a
movie.
story. Ha.
Let's talk about. You were mentioning the plague song. Let's talk about the songs.
Okay, all right. That's a good next one. Although, like I said, I said my piece on the song. I'm not super into them, but not because kids, nothing stupid. Just how I like my songs.
A lot of the songs are more hits than misses for me, but we'll talk about them both.
Yeah. I mean, with one exception, I don't think they're bad songs. I just don't think they're. Again, I like my songs to less be. You could just. Like the opening number, for example, I don't think that's one that you could get away with talking. Like that had to be a song.
No,
that's why. I mean, I hate to say it like this because of the subject matter, but like it kind of bops. But it's also like on top of that, it's like this has to be a song.
Yeah.
When they're like, I know when Miriam has a song to Moses about how she prayed that he would come back or whatever, and like, does this have to be a song? Can't you just like tell him? Can't you just tell him that it's not? I don't know. It's because when songs are done well, like that opening number, like the stuff with Moses and Ramesses, it hits so strong that when I think to myself, you could just be saying this. It doesn't have to be a song. It just kind of stings a little bit harder for me. But I will at least admit, outside of the context of the movie, these are mostly nice, with one exception. These are pretty nice songs.
Yeah. I really like the opening number a lot. I like Moses' number, but mostly because of what it leads to.
Really quick, when he starts that song, this is more on the acting than anything, but when that song starts, he's singing it as if he's running. You can hear him panting. He's short of breath. I love that. Oh, God. I love that.
That is a nice touch. And it makes sense because not only is is he running, but like his mind is all over the goddamn place.
Yeah.
His mind is literally running.
Like he's trying to he's trying to convince himself that this is all okay. That like, no, this is home. Right?
And then the tapestry happens and he realizes, no, it's not home.
They were just like,
oh God, that nightmare he had.
Oh God.
Okay. sorry for being a gamer about it, but I was immediately thinking of The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds.
I was thinking of Wind Waker.
I was thinking of
Oh
Prince
yeah,
of
I guess
Egypt.
that too.
Like the
but
opening.
I was thinking specifically of like Link like walking through the walls as like a treat, and that like you know what like as like an early CGI, like this was handled really really well. Like given what they had, because they were too busy with ants.
Yeah.
Like they did a pretty damn good job with that nightmare sequence.
Yeah, it's gonna be really hard to not talk about the songs without talking about the animation that goes with it.
Oh, this animation is fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, what do you think about the songs, Weish? We haven't really heard your take. And then there is a song that we do have to talk about. Unfortunately.
Yeah, there is.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
I thought these were like really fantastic songs. Like the When You Believe, I think that's the one that's like Deliver Us, because there's also like because it's a very extended, and it mixes in with like the Zimmer score, what would like the baby's almost getting like eaten by like hippos, and then like towards the end, like because the sister was following along and sings like a final lullaby, and it becomes like the leitmotif of the film. You hear that, you hear that theme a lot. Like it almost becomes like the Moses theme.
pretty much.
I don't know how to say how to talk around playing with the big boys.
I'll talk about the song that immediately comes like after it. The Plague song. That's probably my favorite song on the whole soundtrack.
Yeah, but especially with like the duet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
one of the few times
he's duet, right?
Yeah, it's one of the few times you hear him sing too.
Yeah. Both Moses and Ramesses.
Yeah, it's like Ralph Fiennes, a lot of stuff. But he's done a lot of stuff. But he's fantastic as Ramesses, and he's apparently a singer with this. He did a damn good job.
Yeah, he did, and just like I love the choir. Like it's the most intense choir I've ever heard in an animated film.
It really helped to like heighten the emotions of this and make this feel like the epic it is based on. Like this it feels massive in scale, partly because of that music and that choir.
All right.
So what about that one song that we keep dancing around?
Playing with the big boys with Steve Martin and Martin Short. I love Steve Martin and Martin Short. I do not love their song. This. So
you know what this felt
like?
like? This felt like they were like, Disney has villain songs. We need our own. Let's get Steve Martin Short over here.
Oh my god.
And they have them be the bad guys and sing the bad song about all the Egyptian gods. And just say we're the big boys now 5 times in a row.
I like almost want to say that isn't it, but we all know Jeffrey Katzenberg. That's probably I would not be surprised if his pettiness slipped into this movie.
Yep, it's like, hey, we could do Disney songs, Disney villain songs too, Disney.
We could do Disney villain songs too, and the Prince of Egypt.
Playing with the God.
Like, I guess this is where you like you have the Plague. Like there's your
yeah, that's a great song.
That's your song.
Yeah, that's what leads into the duet. Yeah,
it's not like a villain song. It's just like a great song. Like Playing with the big boys just feel what it feels is tacky.
Yeah,
that's what
it feels tacky and petty. Like the director, no, not the director, like Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Yeah.
So like in the context of the story, this kind of makes sense because these two are tacky people. They are like magicians that are doing like literal smoke and mirrors to try to one up Moses. Like it makes sense in the story. I think the trouble is that like I guess the trouble is that it's just such a different tone from everything else. It feels like a show tune. It feels like Broadway. It
feels. It does. it does feel like, yeah, you are correct, Random. This does feel Disney. I don't think it's good, but it does have that Disney vibe to it in something that is decidedly trying to not be Disney.
I will say though, the visuals are still great. Like, I do like the idea of the staff turning into a serpent, and then them having to be like, "We got our own snakes," and then they get eaten. And it's like, "Fuck you, I'm God, bitch."
Yeah.
And I don't know, that again, that was stuck with me, so I like that a lot. Other than that, though, it's just like, hey, we got Steve Martin, sure, we gotta give them something to do other than make stupid jokes.
For this specific song was produced by John Powell, who would later be like a regular for DreamWorks and do like Road to El Dorado and Chicken Run and Shrek, and just look, going through like showing up for Robots, which we're gonna have to do.
One day.
Yeah,
Robots is
not for this podcast.
Not for this podcast.
Not for this podcast, no. I think it was just like, it doesn't feel like anything else here. And it just feels weird.
Like, all the songs, they're like important to the plot and have good visuals.
I was just gonna say, you know what isn't weird? The animation. Let's talk.
Yeah. And even playing with the big boys now has some cool animation to it.
The scope of the animation here. I want to talk about the ending so bad with the animation. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet.
You could say any shot in this film is so fantastic. You want to talk about the burning bush? I think you want to talk about the burning bush.
But right before we leave music, I do want to mention this that I just found out. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to like find this, but did you know they made 3 different soundtracks for the Prince of Egypt? There was the original soundtrack where it has like the songs and stuff, and they have a inspirational soundtrack which is like gospel versions of this, like a gospel tribute, and then they have a Nashville soundtrack where they did country version of the Prince of Egypt.
Oh God, I am so glad they didn't do that.
I'm interested.
No, they did though. They did all 3 of those things.
No, but like, I'm glad it wasn't in the movie that we watched.
No, God, yeah, I don't.
Playing with the big boy now.
I don't want to hear Reba
Jesus.
McEntire. No, thank you.
No.
I don't know what the decision for that is. I guess they were just like
Animation.
Well,
animation. Yes.
I mean, I hate to be the bringer of bad news. We've got 11 minutes. Do we want to like move into the ending, or?
I know you want to talk about the burning bush.
I
so
mean, I
is there
do,
anything...
but we only have less than 11 minutes. Sorry.
Okay. Real quick, the burning bush is like it's one of the most memorable things in this movie. Like the blue fire. The shot of him like trying to like touch the fire with his staff and then with his hand, and then it just envelops him, and like gorgeous scene. Like if you're gonna have a burning bush scene, like you sell the fuck out of it, and they did.
Yeah,
I think it's the most memorable part. I also think it's the best part. I love everything about it so much.
I agree.
Even when God said, "Shut up, I'm God," like. We're laughing about it now, but in the moment, it was so, like, cool.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
awesome.
like this is no nonsense. Like,
yeah,
like,
and he still
I'm
comes
God,
up. I've heard
like,
people. I have seen the scene in Ten Commandments of the burning bush. And I've heard people be like, "Oh, that's Old Testament. This is New Testament." And I mean, that's correct. But when you hear New Testament, you just kind of assume like, "Oh, God's just nice and gentle." But no.
Yeah.
When God needs to get his point across, he will shout at Moses. He will put a plague onto Egypt. Like, this isn't.
He'll kill people.
Yeah. It's for his people.
This is a God that you still fear.
Yeah,
like,
but this is
you
also
love
a
him.
God that you love and want to be with.
Yep.
Yes, because he will bring you to the promised land, but it will come with a sacrifice. It will come with bloodshed.
Yeah, that's
Speaking of bloodshed,
he's not messing around.
Speaking of not messing around, the ending.
Yeah, so that's another one that's like all over the trailers, all over the clips. Like if there's one clip you gotta show from the Prince of Egypt, it's this one right here.
Yup.
And I think not only is it so good, but I'm watching this and thinking like, damn, what could have been like if we could have both 2D like the 2D animation with CGI support like we see in this movie.
Yeah.
Like it's just so stunning to watch. And it has such great visuals in it too. Like they're walking through and you see this wall of water. And then there's lightning strike and the lightning strike creates like a shadow of a whale. To
Yup.
really hit home just how massive this wall is. I don't think that there were whales in the Red Sea, but I might be wrong. But it, like in the moment, like that's a stunning shot, and it again, it's majestic, beautiful. It feels religious. It feels like an epic.
It does.
Yeah. I mean, Burning Bush was my favorite part of the movie, but we're gonna talk about like the animation that made me go wowie wowie zowie. That's definitely number one on that list. That was this movie is if I'm doing my math right, this movie is well, not to the date, but to the year, 25 years old, and that still looks impressive to this day.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, unbelievable.
I was looking at it and I was like, this came out in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
This just came out same year as Ants.
Oh my god.
Forget
And
Ants.
it
This
just-
came out the same year as A Bug's Life.
Yes, it did.
Like I was talking to one of my friends recently, and they were like, "Oh man, 1998, the rain in A Bug's Life looked so good," and I'm just like, "Yeah, okay."
What came out? You know what came out in 1998? Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Also Mulan. And
And The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
yeah, and all three of those got nothing on those special
nothing,
effects.
nothing.
I haven't seen Mulan in a very long time. I don't know if it actually pulls up or not, but I'll trust.
You don't get anything like the
Not Prince
Parting
of
the
Egypt.
Red
Not Prince of
Seas.
Egypt. No.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and even so, even before we see the water, the fire, the wall of
yeah.
fire,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like that caught me off guard.
I forgot all about that. I remembered the parting sea because how do you forget that? But I forgot about the
Yeah.
fire.
And there's like an urgency of like them chasing him. And God just like, "Shh, it's cool, guys. Take your time."
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, I'm gonna turn this off, and now there's the pressure is on.
The
Yeah.
pressure's
for the
on. You guys
climax
are
of
taking a
the
bit too
movie.
long. Well,
Yeah.
wait, guys, trust me. We got this. And they're gonna drown.
This part is just kind of like throws me off. It is Ramesses saying Moses.
No.
Like, I know people can laugh at that. I just thought that was sad because
I
literally
guess, yeah.
Ramesses has lost everything. He lost his son. He lost his power. He lost the men backing him. He's marooned on a rock. He's pretty much left to die, and the last thing he could think of is his brother. He still loves his brother to this day, or you could interpret it. That's how I interpret it. Even through all that, he cries out to his brother, and you can just see it dissolves with the pain on Moses' face, and he says goodbye to him one last time, and it's sad. It is sad.
That
I have never.
sorry, that part is excellent. The no is a little goofy.
Oh yeah, the no. I
The
forgot
no
about
is a
that. I
little
didn't-
goofy. I agree with you on what you're saying, absolutely. But I remember he did the no. I'm like, okay. But then the movie won me right back over. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
This is becoming Star Wars. You're
Yeah.
laying it on thick.
No.
yeah. But again, even when he was everything, I agree with what Random said. And then I believe, if not the closing lines of the movie, Moses' closing line of the movie is goodbye, Ramesses. Goodbye, brother.
Goodbye, brother.
Goodbye, brother. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it just cuts. It just cuts to them all walking and him holding the Ten Commandments as you hear a reprise of "Deliver Us." That's it. You know what? It. Some may call it rushed. I think it's perfect. I think it ends at just at the right time.
Yeah, no, I agree because
Oh yeah.
because the story of Moses and Ramesses ends there.
They're out of Egypt.
Yeah. The only thing that they could have done was like babyfy it and be like, no, we must save Ramesses. And then they save Ramesses and he's like, thank you, brother. I've seen the light of my actions. I'm with you now. And then they become friends.
I'm a Hebrew now.
I am a Hebrew now. Case in point, I'm glad they stopped it there.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't talk much about like the other. This still has like a stunt casting issue, but this is much less pronounced than it is in Ant. Like,
yeah. I don't
like,
think any of the
we do
other
have, like,
characters
Val
are really worth
Kilmer.
talking about extensively, but I will say I recognized Matthew Broderick. He didn't bother me like at all.
Wait, what?
Matthew
are you talking
Broderick?
about Jeff Goldblum?
Oh my god, did I say Matthew Broderick? Oh my god. I don't know actors clearly. I meant
So
Jeff
much for
Goldblum.
recognizing him.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh yeah, I recognize this actor. You mean this other actor? Yeah.
Yeah, I recognize Jeff Goldblum, and I was like,
he still didn't
I
bother
thought
me. He still didn't bother me.
Yeah, compared to Steve Martin Short, didn't bother me.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah. With Steve Martin Short, they were doing like goofy, like my new thing. I am so upset. That's
Oh
really
yeah,
what
gonna
my
it
tell
was.
new
Pharaoh.
thing. Oh my god. That's what I'm talking about, like with Jeff Goldblum when he's on screen, he's doing like his the stuttering thing. It's when his sister is touching the Prince of Egypt, grabbing his clothes, and him being like, "Oh my god, I'm sorry. If she's ill, she doesn't know what she's doing. Please, you have to forgive her. I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
And then once Moses comes back and he's not the Prince of Egypt anymore, and he's trying to help them, and Aaron is his name, I think. He's getting really mad. He's not stuttering anymore. Like he's actually. I wasn't bothered.
He's just saying like, oh, okay. Oh, you didn't want to see it. Well, that just makes it better. Like,
Yeah.
getting back to like guilt.
Yeah,
He's
and he's
bringing
not.
up
And
decent
the
points.
reason why I think I just stick to Jeff Goldblum. Well, it doesn't bother me because he's not like, oh, well, you just didn't see it, so I guess that may like that. He actually delivers it like an angry person who would act like that in that situation. Which
Yeah.
I mean, we're just talking about the writing of the
dialed
movie. I
down
really
the
like it
Goldblum.
too, but just to stick to relevant with the stunt casting, I think to echo what Wash had said, ignoring the high priests, I think the casting was very good.
Also, Danny Glover comes back.
Yeah.
He was the Jethro. But I didn't recognize him in in this, but like he did fine. I think they all did like fine. This is still the stunt casting, but like it is not near to the extent of like Ants, where they're like carving the faces to look like Danny Glover or Jeff Goldblum. Good God, I don't
Is
know how
Danny
I would
Glover
handle
the
that.
John Ratzenberger of DreamWorks movies?
Is he in El
Probably
Dorado?
not.
Yeah, I would say no.
On that note, do you know what else isn't in The Road to El Dorado? I think. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
The timer?
The timer.
The timer.
The timer.
Final thoughts. Who wants to go first?
I thoroughly enjoyed this. I watched in a bit of a rush, so I didn't have quite as much prepared. But I was really surprised with like just how gorgeous this is. Like this, like you know what it was like. I'm watching this and suddenly it's like I felt like a 7-year-old. I felt like a kid watching this movie, which is weird for how like a player said how sharp this movie is. How like it can get dark too, but like I felt a sense of wonder. Like this felt like just so powerful and just so it wasn't talking down to me like Ants is. It just felt like an adaptation of the Book of Exodus. Like I was back in CCD all over again.
Yep.
And I was just like enjoying myself with this, like, with all the songs and the gorgeous animation and the sorrowful tale of Moses just trying to make peace with his brothers. Like, god damn, this really worked out.
CCD, but epic.
Random was like I was telling this and like I can see like on the webcam that like Random is about to like burst out laughing. I don't know why.
It's because you're saying it's not like ants, and I'm just imagining Moses the Hebrews going, the workers control the means of production.
No, don't you dare.
Well, if you love this Moses guy so much, where is he? Listen,
He's right
Oh,
there.
yeah,
so
yeah,
you
you're
let
right,
the
right.
people go.
Hebrews, listen. You all get a day off.
No, don't do this, please.
We're all going to hell. Might as well go there in
Moses,
style.
Moses, don't be like me. Make your own choices.
No. Don't you dare.
Make your own choices. See life through heaven's eyes.
Oh my god, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Woody Allen was taking them to the promised land of Insectopia.
Maybe this is oh god, Ants was a
No,
rough
don't.
version of the Prince of Egypt.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Book of Exodus. Maybe this is. I don't know. One of you can do your finale. One of you, please do your
Whoever
final
stops
thought.
laughing first, I guess.
Oh god.
Get us out of here, please.
Who knew this most serious movie would be one of the funniest episodes? Despite my jokes, I really do love this movie. I do.
Yeah.
I was kind of taken aback by how powerful, emotional, raw, and it felt like it doesn't pull any punches. It tells the story and as dark as it can be. It really humanizes Moses and Ramesses and it tells their story and makes the book of Exodus more compelling. It raises stakes. It gives them emotions and makes them more human. Because it's easy to be like, Moses did this because he was told by God, and Moses was just like, okay. But no, you see the struggle. You see all the like guilt he has. And it hurts. It really does. There were a lot of times where I was getting emotional just watching all that and just really getting into it. Combine that with the fact of the gorgeous 2D visuals, the beautiful music, most of the songs being pretty good, the score being excellent, and combined with the stellar animation, it's going to be really hard for DreamWorks to top this. Like, really, really hard. I'm going to tell you that much. I like it better than Ants. No shock there. But it's honestly impressed me a lot more than I thought I would. I'm mad I didn't watch this earlier, or rewatch this earlier rather. So
Yeah.
I would consider this. I really like this a lot, like genuinely. And technically, other than any anime films, this is our first 2D film that we've done. That's not anime, and what a hell of a one to do it with.
Yeah.
Watch this movie. Watch this movie. Even if you aren't religious, it's still good.
So, before anything, I just want to share a very brief snippet of a DM that Random and I had. It's nothing really personal. That's why I'm sharing it. But Random had sent me, I really want to talk about Prince of Egypt. I respond, all I'll say is that Jeffrey Katzenberg hates Disney. And Random goes, despises.
Yeah.
So going into this conversation, we already knew this was a very DreamWorks film and how it's anti-Disney in a lot of ways. I thoroughly enjoyed Prince of Egypt. This is a wonderful, fantastic movie. Normally, when a story like this has, I don't want to say a ton of characters, but enough characters, and there's only a focus on two of them, I kind of say, well, what about those other characters? But this is one of those rare exceptions. This is the way you do it. There are other characters that are used to enhance the story of Moses and Ramesses because they are the emotional core, and they are what really make the movie work. All the other characters feel like they get the screen time that they need, except for the high priest. But I mean, one set of characters, like big whoop.
Yeah.
There's like a scene where a statue is falling apart and the CG looks a little rough. Like if we want to nitpick, right?
Oh yeah, I'm glad you caught that. Yeah, the nose.
Yeah. Like, okay, it's fine with all the other things this movie does, right? Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still figuring that out.
Yeah, I mean, it's their second movie, and I mean,
Yeah.
But, again, animation, 99% of the animation is some of the best you'll see. That 1%, oh no.
Oh no.
The songs, not quite for me, but fantastic in general. I love the tone of the movie. It's a bit inconsistent. It reminds me of Hunchback, but isn't nearly as bad. The burning bush, the parting sea, the plague. There's so many. I mean, these are all things that God does, but they're very memorable and super well animated. The facial expressions are out of this world. So I was going to say this during the Ants episode. I actually wanted to kind of open the podcast with, well, for me, obviously after you two had done what you were going to do. But I realized Ants was kind of a difficult movie to do it with, but it does kind of play into the reason why. And we will talk about this as we talk about DreamWorks and their absolutely ridiculous output. But the year is 2023, and throughout this podcast, The Prince of Egypt is one of the headlining reasons, but I will be talking about why, I've been thinking about this for a while, I like DreamWorks more than Pixar.
Ooh.
And this is a headlining reason for sure. It's not the only one, but if you're gonna be like, yeah, DreamWorks is good, but like Pixar, you can't compete with their output, their second movie. Their first movie plays into another reason why I like DreamWorks so much, just in a very different light, which we will also talk about as we go along. But for now, Prince of Egypt, absolutely wonderful film, fantastic. Rotten Tomatoes says it has stunning visuals and an amazing voice cast, but it's not an emotional film, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
How the hell is that not emotional?
Asleep during the plague.
Oh my god. You know what? I can understand, and we will see how we feel after watching all these DreamWorks films about comparing it to Pixar, because it's gonna happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's very hard to not compare the two.
Exactly. And you know what? Out of all I know DreamWorks is owned by Universal, which means they're technically owned by Illumination now. But out of all these animation studios that are, either just trying to make a quick buck or trying to copy the Disney formula, even back then, back in the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, current date, all these animations, DreamWorks always feels like the ones that were, they're specifically trying to be anti-Disney, which, you could say is kind of falling into the same trappings. But they always felt the most unique. And I'll say that about Ants, absolutely, but like, if I want to say that about a movie that's not gonna take me off the list of anybody's erotic fantasies, Prince of Egypt.
God damn it.
I can't believe you like that specific combination you said. Erotic fantasies, the Prince of Egypt.
Hey, bookends. That's how we started the episode. That's how we're ending the episode. Oh, man. What a movie this is.
What a movie. Oh my god.
Yeah, this feels just so different from some of the other movies we've talked about. I guess part of it is that it's not a comedy.
No,
not.
We're so used to doing comedies, or at least like it's. I guess like like some of the animes are like exceptions, but like this is a full on like musical drama, and it's.
Well, don't get too used to these movies not being comedies.
Yeah, we're not doing Les Mis or anything.
Because up next, we're still in 2D animation land, because turns out CGI films take a long ass time. So I'm sure whatever the next CGI DreamWorks movie, it's gonna be like whatever.
Yeah,
I'm sure it won't be memorable at all.
Yeah, it's not gonna leave any kind of impact.
But until then,
it's not gonna have any kind of impact.
But we will see about that ogre time.
Yeah,
but
we're planting the seeds. We're planting the seeds.
But for now, we have to take the road to El Dorado.
Yeah, so I'm very curious. Have either of you ever seen Road to El Dorado?
Yes.
Oh,
if I have seen this was in 2000. That's probably the last time I saw El Dorado, because I remember nothing about this movie.
I am very familiar with this movie. I grew up with this movie quite a lot, and I've seen it multiple times. It's been a while though. So
this is probably going to be my first time And so I guess we'll see like what the nostalgia side and the new side feels on this.
Yeah.
But that's for the next episode. Well, when we cut over to the year 2000. Oh god, that's right. We're switching over to the 21st century, like the next episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
Despite, I think, since they started, 1999 was the only year that DreamWorks missed.
Yeah.
There's a good chance. I'd have to look through the list, but you're probably right that like they hadn't yet. They were just gearing up, and then like immediately after, they're just like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
Like there's, we'll talk about that. But
Yes.
that's for the next episode. If you liked what you listened to and want to hear that next episode, you can subscribe to us to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WRK podcast. You can subscribe to it. Subscribe to us on like wrk.simplecast.com, wherever else you may find your podcast. And I forget if like Twitter is still active. I don't think it's been active in a while.
Well,
but we do have the twitter.com app, WRK podcast. So we'll let you know when the next episode comes out, which will be El Dorado.
Yes.
But that does it.
And go watch our other stuff too.
Yeah, we got.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Other cool.
If you want to know what we thought about Pixar films,
yeah,
hey, how come you haven't done Pixar films?
With everybody with a different mics, and one of us is a completely different person.
Yes.
I honestly like watch the Mario movie, because that's still like my favorite.
I mean, there are a lot. If you just want like the WRK quick fix, if you're like, I just need something quick, like here's my hand, just inject it right here. Definitely the Mario movie.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm Random Bystander here.
I am the Wash.
And I am Larry.
And we'll see you next time for another episode of Living the DreamWorks.
Bye.
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 Bye.